Hey y'all, welcome back to Kristen Live. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make some really simple, delicious, and inexpensive Thanksgiving or Christmas sides. Whether you're hosting or you need to bring a side to somebody's house, these are a great way to do it the easy, simple way. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. What I'm going to show you how to do is a roasted garlic mashed potato. So what I did is I started with 6 just regular russet baking potatoes. Obviously, if you have more people, adjust the recipe as needed. I peeled them and I boiled them for about 25 minutes. And then you turn off the heat, move it off the heat, let them sit for about another 10. You'll know when they're ready, depending on the size. Just go ahead and stick a fork in them. If the fork goes in easily or they kind of fall apart, they're ready to go. So then you want to rinse them like in a colander to get any, excess starch off. And then you put them back in the pan on the burner that you had on that's off now, and that just kind of helps remove some of the extra these potatoes. So now I've got them here, and I'm just going to move them from my stock pot to my standing mixing bowl, which actually still has water in it. And you want to go ahead and put them in here and mash them manually first, just to kind of break them apart, because the thing you don't want to do is over stir them. Like when you move them too much, it just makes them stiff and doesn't give you a creamy potato. So I'm just going to go ahead and put these in here, and I just washed my hands for any of you germaphobes. So my smaller potato is kind of falling apart. The rest of them are fine. So like I said, depending on the size of the potatoes depends on how long you want to cook them. And if you have different variety of sizes, just start with the large ones, wait a few minutes, and then add the smaller ones later. All right. So I've got my potatoes in here. I'm just going to take the, I don't even know what this attachment's called. The mixer? I don't know. It comes with like 3 attachments. I'm not really sure, but this is the one you're supposed to use. So it kind of looks like the one like the old school hand mixers had, except for it's just larger and more in like a oval shape than like your standard mixer blade. Alright, so I've gotten these broken apart, and I'll kind of show you. Like I said, you just don't want to over mix them. So this is what they look like. So you're just going to go ahead and stick this on your stand-up mixer. You're going to go ahead and attach the blade. There we go. Make sure it's on there good. Okay. And make sure it is in the lock position. And we're going to plug it in. I don't use, I don't know, maybe it's just me. You guys let me know in the comments below. Is it just me, or like I unplug a lot of my small kitchen appliances when I'm not using them? For several reasons, but one, I've been told that it takes electricity even when they're not on, when they're plugged in. And 2, just in case there was any kind of electrical fire or anything when I'm not home, I want to come home to a house standing up still. Okay, so we're just going to mix this for about 30 seconds at the most. I also have about 6 ounces of unsalted organic butter that has come to room temperature. You can melt it, but it kind of changes the texture of the butter and like the components of it. So it's really best if you can just let it kind of come to room temperature. You don't have to use organic, you can use salted, but I kind of like to let people season their dishes to their taste, so I just use kind of the minimum seasoning, especially like on a mashed potato when you want it to be a classic. So what you're going to see is, I'm going to go ahead and turn this on, and after 30 seconds I'm going to start adding the butter, but only 1, maybe a tablespoon at a time, 1 little pat at a time. So let me just grab, this ought to do the trick. going to start adding the butter. We're going to turn it up from low to medium. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And like I said, we're just going to add one of these little pats of butter at a time. Wait a few seconds before you add the next one. You always want to start with the butter. If you start with the milk or you put it in at the same time with the butter, it just totally changes the texture and doesn't make the potatoes as creamy. Of course, like I said, if you're going to use more potatoes, if you have more guests or you want to have leftovers, go ahead and adjust all the ingredients that I'm showing you here. While this is mixing, I'm going to show you, where did I put it? Oh. I made just a little bit of roasted garlic, and if you're not familiar with how to do that, it's fairly simple. You just open up or peel your garlic cloves, and then leave the garlic actually in whole cloves. And you're just going to add a little bit of vegetable oil, a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, and a little bit of butter with salt and pepper. The reason that you use all three, the vegetable oil prevents it from burning. The extra virgin olive oil gives it a little bit of flavor and lets it kind of crisp and brown the outside. And then the butter is mostly for flavor, but it also kind of helps it brown. So you really need that combination. And then just some ground black pepper and salt. You're going to go ahead and make like a little tent. You're going to put it in the oven at 260 for about 20 minutes and then open it up, and for about another 10 minutes you want it about on 350. It should be nice and golden brown and kind of falling apart when you touch it with a fork. Alright, so these are about done. Let me just go ahead and put the rest of this butter in. Like I said, just don't over mix it. That is definitely not what you want to do. Alright, so we've got that part done. Let me go ahead and pull this up. This is about the texture that you want. And if you guys aren't familiar, whatever kind of stand-up mixer you have, they're pretty much the same when it comes to their attachments. You just push up and you pull off. And the texture should be a little bit stuck, but it shouldn't be like completely stuck to where you've got a ton of cleaning to do. And if you're like me, I always like to taste as I cook. And I'm probably going to look more of that when the video is over, because that is delicious. Alright, so at this point, we're going to go ahead and add in about half of our milk. This is 1/4 cup of milk. Some people use heavy cream, some people use milk. I'm using half and half, so it's, you know, obviously a little bit of each. And then I'm going to take the roasted garlic, and I'm just going to take 1 clove to start and put it in there. And then, let's see, this is an 8-ounce tub of sour cream, about half of it's gone. So I'm going to put about 2 ounces in now, and then I'll probably add another ounce here in a minute. The reason I took this off is because you really want to get most of these mashed potatoes off of here so that everything gets blended properly. So let's go ahead and put this back on. Put this down. And we're going to just go ahead and put it on low just to get these ingredients mixed. And as it's mixing, I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of the garlic and the 1 more ounce of sour cream. So yummy. Is it just me, or does anybody else feel full by the time you're ready to serve all your guests, because you've been taste testing the entire time you've been cooking? And not only do you need to taste as you go to make sure you're not over seasoning it, but I mean, you're doing all the cooking, so why not get the reward of getting to taste it? All right, this looks pretty good mixed. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this out, rinse the little stir beater attachment, and when I come back, I'll show you what we do next. So I'm not really sure if this is necessary, but I always like to let the potatoes rest for a few minutes while I get out the rest of my ingredients. I've got 1 cup of Colby Jack blend shredded cheese. You can use anything. There's Manchego. I mean, you can just use plain cheddar, provolone, whatever your taste buds like. Colby Jack seems kind of like embraces most people's taste buds, so that's what I went with. So at this point, we're gonna add, I've just got some kosher salt. You can use sea salt, regular iodized salt, whatever you'd like to do. And like I said, I don't like to over season my stuff because I like people to be able to kind of choose how they would like it seasoned. Just adding some freshly ground pepper. And if you have fresh rosemary and thyme, that makes it even better. I don't happen to have any on hand right now, so I've got the Organic Herbs de Provence, I don't know, you guys tell me how to pronounce that, by McCormick. And it's got oregano, rosemary, marjoram, thyme, and sage. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of that in there. And we're gonna go ahead and put it on low again, and I'm gonna slowly add the cheese, and the mashed potatoes are done. It's really helpful if you can let your cheese come to room temperature, which is what I've done. You don't really want to let your mashed potatoes get cold or cooled because you've added all these other ingredients. And you know, another tip that I never knew, and I don't know that I mentioned it earlier, is when you put that cream or half and half or milk or whatever you decide to use, if you can get it to room temperature, that's best. It just changes the texture of the potatoes when cold hits hot. So some people even use warm milk. I just let mine come to room temperature. By the time you get all this stuff ready, which not that it takes long, but your cheese generally doesn't take long to get room temperature, nor does your milk. So I think that's nice and blended. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it off. Open this up. Yes, that is what you want. It's moldable, it kind of sticks, but not so tough and hard that it just kind of just slowly falls out. It looks so pretty. All right, since no one else is eating this particular batch, I'm gonna use my finger. Shh, don't tell anybody, it's our secret. So good. All right. So I'm going to clean all this up, and I will show you number 2 for easy, simple Thanksgiving sides. The second recipe that I'm going to show you that's simple and easy for Thanksgiving or Christmas side will be not your traditional green bean casserole, because yes, I too love that, but there's a lot of people that kind of get tired of it, so this is a more modern twist on it. What I did is last night I went ahead and made some bacon, and once it was done, I took it out and I'm saving that for the third recipe. And I've taken the bacon grease and saved it, and I'm just warming it up right now on low. I'm taking some green beans. You can use fresh, frozen. Fresh is probably better, but you know, within your budget or what you have on hand, use that first. Green beans, haricot verts, whatever you want to call them. This is going to be an awesome dish. So the bacon grease is hot, and then you're going to add about 3 tablespoons of, again, softened or room temperature butter. Now you can use fresh onion for this, but my family's not a huge fan. I hope you guys can hear me and see me. My house is starting to fill up with smoke. The vent's on. Excuse me if I'm choking. My family's not a huge onion. They're not big onion lovers. I love it fresh, sauteed, you know, in a stew, whatever. But because of that, I want everyone to be able to eat it. I'm gonna just add some onion powder. And I'm gonna take it off the oven for a minute because it's starting to get a little too hot. This is a newer oven for me, oven/stove. I'm still getting used to the, sorry guys, I'm still getting used to the different settings on it. It's got an ultra heat setting and then regular settings. Anyway, one way is regular, one way is ultra heat, and you definitely don't want to burn your butter, so I'm going to just take it off for a second. I'm going to go ahead and add the onion powder. As you can see, it's very hot because it's starting to boil. Once that happens, you're going to go ahead and start. Now, these were frozen. Normally I wouldn't do that, but I had them on hand. I don't have a lot of people coming over, so you always want to use what you have first and kind of rotate through your freezer, pantry, produce, fridge, and that sort of thing. And I've had them in here for a few minutes, so they've completely drained and they should be somewhat dry. Oh. Normally I'd have like all the windows and doors open, but it's raining out and it's really loud outside, and then I've got the vent going, and it's just for video purposes, I'm trying to just deal with it for you guys. It's all for you guys. Alright, so if there's too much water, moisture in these, you're going to burn yourself. So not only have I taken it off the heat for a minute, but I'm going to step away when I put these in, and you just kind of want to like gently put them in using something. I'm going to use these. You can use a spoon, whatever you like, and kind of just make sure you're not too close to it so you don't get burned. Because when that bacon grease and the butter gets any kind of water or moisture, as I'm sure you know, it's going to start bubbling and spit back at you. And that's not fun. You don't want to have burns on your face or anywhere in your body when you're having your family and guests over. Not a fun time. Alright. So I've got these in here, just kind of make sure they're somewhat evenly spread out. I'm just going to add a little bit of fresh ground pepper. I love pepper, but my kids not so much, so I'm not going to add a ton. I'm going to add a little bit of this kosher salt. And then I've got, what I did is the butter that I was using earlier for the first recipe, I kept the foil of it and I put my fresh garlic that I cut up earlier inside of it so that I can like make use of that leftover butter that I couldn't quite get off the package. So you're just going to let these cook for a minute. Alright, it's starting to calm down a little bit, so I'm going to put it back on here, move it to medium-low, and then start adding in the garlic and butter residue. This is so delicious, you guys. I promise you, no one's going to be like, where's the green bean casserole? They're going to be asking you to make this year-round, every time they come over. Hey, can you make those for me? Or hey, can you give me that recipe? And that's always nice. It's always get a compliment about something that you tried that was new, that you weren't sure if people were going to like or not. And we're just going to kind of let this on the lowest setting possible, reduce down. And when some of that has absorbed in the green beans, we're just going to turn it off and put it into a container to save, because I'm not actually cooking this for tonight, which is a great tip. You don't have to cook it the day of. You could always warm it back up in the pan for a minute right before you serve it. And when you're cooking for a lot of people, you don't want to have to make everything from scratch the day of. It's stressful enough, like having people over. You've got to clean your house and set the table and decorate and make sure you have all the menu planned out and your timing, and if people have allergies or different food preferences. So anything you can make ahead is a bonus in my world. Alright, so I'm going to turn this off and move it off the heat, and as soon as it cools down, I'm going to go ahead and put it in my container so that I can warm it up when we eat. Let's just go ahead and move on to number 3. Number 3 recipe, simple, easy side, would be just a big yummy salad. you can do the traditional one, but like I said, I love to kind of change it up and give it a little twist. You know, just kind of modernize it and make it fun, something that nobody's ever had, and maybe they will try to make it next year, and then hopefully, if they come, you can tell them, hey, have you tried to make that salad I made? Maybe you could bring that as a side. Okay. Like I said, I don't have a large party coming, and we're not eating this tonight, so I'm just going to show you in one individual serving bowl. I do have a large bamboo bowl that I'll probably put it in for the day of, but if you're having a small amount of people and you don't want a bunch of leftovers, because once you put all this stuff on your lettuce, it's going to start to wilt and you can't really have the leftovers. So it's always nice to be able, if you have just 4 or 5 people, just put individual servings out, and just when they're done, they can toss it, rinse the dishes, or leave them out. Just kind of what I'm guilty of. But you don't have to worry about leftovers or throwing away food. I hate wasting food. I don't know how many times I can say that. But anyway, I'm going to show you this as my just, you know, kind of reference point. So again, I've got a tiny bit of that bacon oil or bacon grease left in here. I've got it on about medium. And what we're going to do is, like I said earlier, I made bacon. And I saved that bacon and crumbled it up for this particular salad. So once your bacon grease has warmed up, which I think we're getting there. Like I said, I'm still trying to figure out this stove. You're going to go ahead and take a handful of pecans, or depending on what size, of course, adjust as needed. I've already roasted these in the oven yesterday for about 20 minutes with just a little bit of vegetable oil, salt, pepper, and a little bit of cinnamon. Oh, and a little bit of egg white. Actually, I have a really good bourbon candied pecan recipe, which I think I mentioned earlier in another video that I will post or link up here. You can click on when you're done watching this. They are delicious, and this is my problem. I eat the whole time I'm cooking. This will be ready, and I'm going to be full. So anyway, you're going to have your pecans in here, medium high. Mine starts at low and goes to 10. I've got about 7 right now. And then because I made these last night, I'm just going to warm them up, put them back in here, and that'll help actually add just a little more bacon grease to your pan. So good. All right. I've been doing a lot of cooking videos and doing a lot of cooking just in general. So like most of my stuff is dirty in the sink, which I'm hiding from you right now, or it's in the dishwasher. So I'm limited on my spatulas and just, you know, kitchen accessories in general because they are not clean. So we're just gonna kind of let these simmer and warm up for, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how long you roasted them. You don't have to roast them prior. It just makes things quicker. Like I said, anything you can do ahead of time to make your day of cooking less stressful is, I mean, a huge, huge help. So while these do that, I'm going to go ahead and make a homemade balsamic vinaigrette. I say homemade, I'm starting with a base of this here, which my mom actually sent me. And this is a smoked barrel-aged balsamic, but it's just a balsamic vinegar. It's not a vinaigrette. It's not ready to be just poured right on something. It's a great thing to cook with. You can add it to things, but it's a little potent to just pour right on your salad. So I'm going to start with this base. This is so much better than anything you buy in the store, I promise you. Now, I realize that you all aren't going to be able to find exactly this brand. It's called Olivelle, I believe. But if you can just find a good quality, this is a barrel-aged smoked balsamic, but anything close to that, and this will last you forever. It does not take much. So I am really bad about not measuring, but I'm just going to kind of show you how much I use. And like I said, adjust as needed, but so this is probably about 4 tablespoons. I don't know if you can see that. And then I'm going to take a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, probably about the same, not quite 50-50, but close. You really just need to kind of tame it down a little bit. And then I've got organic, unfiltered, pure honey, which is somewhere here locally. And I love that, and I always get that because my whole family suffers from allergies. And if you can find a honey that the bees are producing locally and you ingest it every day, whether you add it to coffee, tea, take it just in its natural form, you can add it to pretty much anything you eat normally, and it is a big help. I'm telling you, this is worth its money 10 times over compared to what you can buy at the store. Plus it's healthier for you. So we're going to add, I guess that's about 2 teaspoons, a tablespoon, something like that. Dijon mustard is usually what I use. I don't have any, and one of my things that I mention a lot in my videos is I have things that I prefer to put in recipes, but if I'm missing one thing or I can use an alternative, I'm not going to run to the store to buy it, because then I'm going to end up buying a bunch of other stuff that I don't need. And that just seems to just cut into my budget and waste money. So I'm just going to use a little bit of regular mustard today, and that's just going to cut a little bit of the intensity of the balsamic barrel-aged vinegar. So I'm thinking this is like a teaspoon or 2. I'm also going to put a teeny tiny bit of apple cider vinegar in here, and I can't tell you, I'm no chemist, I don't know the chemical makeup of why this cuts it down. Vinegar always cuts everything down, but this Bragg's Organic with the mother apple cider vinegar, I have a whole video on that I, if I can remember, will link above, all the many uses. You can buy this for like $8. This will last you, well, depending on how many times you use it, but this usually lasts me like 6 months, if not longer. So definitely worth the investment. I would say maybe a teaspoon. And then you can use fresh garlic and onion. However, if you're going to make a big batch of this, if you use the fresh, you have to keep it in the fridge and only lasts about 7 days. If you use the granulated or powdered garlic and onion, you can keep this on your counter for up to a year. So totally up to you, but I just have used all of my onion and garlic in all of my other recipes lately, so I'm going to go ahead and use the powder. And I just give it a few shakes. I have no idea how much that is, but you can see it's just a few shakes, maybe a teaspoon each. This is a very, excuse me, it's still smoky in here. This is a very large, oversized, and unnecessary tool to whisk this, but I can't find my little whisk. I mean, I have several. They're just missing. Of course, when I want to make a video, they're missing. Any other time, they'll be at the top of the drawer, like screaming my name. So anyway, overkill, but that's what I'm using. Because it's so big and this bowl is so small, I'm just going to go ahead and do it like this, because otherwise it's going to be all over the counter and myself. Which, kind of funny side note, the reason that I decided to wear black in this video is because when I cook, I tend to be very messy. And if I wear a light color, I usually ruin it. So I just decided to be smart and try to prevent ruining any more of my clothes. I'm also going to be doing a fall/winter kind of, I guess, preview. It's not a clothing haul because I'm not buying anything. I mean, I may purchase 1 or 2 things to add to my wardrobe, but Florida has such a short cold season. It's not necessary for me to have a lot of fall/winter things, but I always think it's fun to watch those kind of like fall wardrobe, like what's in my closet videos. So I'm probably going to be doing one of those for sure soon. So y'all need to just stay posted. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe, and then hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my other videos, because you're going to want to see that one. Florida in the fall/winter is a whole different thing than when you live in pretty much anywhere else, because I've lived in California, I lived in Illinois, I've lived in Montana, and this is the first time that I've only needed like 3 pairs of closed-toed shoes. And I have a pair of boots, but I only wear them for style. because you just don't need them. It doesn't snow. It barely ever freezes. Anyway, I'm just trying to keep y'all entertained while I mix this because clearly this is crazy trying to do it in this. But anyway, let's just see how I did. That's good. Okay. So let's go ahead and stir and flip our pecans and bacon. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it off because they're just starting to brown. You don't want to burn them. Nobody likes the taste of anything burnt. But you're just trying to kind of get that bacon flavor in there and warm them up and just soften them. Do this the night before. Roast them the night before because this part only takes a few minutes. Okay. This is pretty much it, you guys. So what we're going to do is you can use spinach, or I've got, I kind of cheated this time. Spinach is typically how this salad is prepared. This is just a spring mix that I had that comes in those little containers that's like pre-washed and organic and all that. That's just because it was on sale and I was just being lazy. I'll just be honest. So that's what that is. So I'm just going to kind of bring this over here for a minute, let it cool. You do want it to be warm because what you want to do is drizzle these over your lettuce and then put the balsamic on while everything is still warm to kind of warm up the balsamic, and everything just kind of caramelizes. It is so delicious. And then last but not least, I have a special topping to put on top of it that's going to cut down the vinegar and the bitterness and, you know, just the nutty flavor. Just, oh my God, it's going to melt in your mouth. Even if you don't like spinach or spring mix, you're going to love this. All right, so I'm only going to put part of this on here because, like I said, I'm just going to make this one individual one for you guys, and I'll probably eat it tonight, but the rest of this is going to go on the counter, like in a container for later when we actually eat it. Ooh, I'm so bad. I'm already full. Okay, so we're going to take this homemade balsamic we just made and just gently pour it over. And last but not least, just take one fresh strawberry and kind of cut it on the bias and just stick it on top. Oh, it looked prettier when I cut it, but the warmness of the salad kind of changes it. But anyway, I hope y'all can see that. It is a beautiful, delicious side dish, whether you're cooking or taking it somewhere else. And I also have, if you are not hosting, sorry, and you are going to someone else's house, I have a video also on that about great hostess gifts for the person that's cooking the meal for whatever holiday it is. So I'm going to eat this, even though I'm full, because it smells so good. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you have any tips or tricks about great, easy, inexpensive side dishes for the holiday, let me know in the comments below. Again, please subscribe, hit that notification bell, click all so you don't miss any more of my videos, and until next time, I'll see y'all later.